Yes.
Hey!
Yay!
Oh boy. Hi everyone. We're back. I'm back-ish, sort of. Welcome to I almost just said that other show we used to do. Welcome to From the Stands. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
It's week something. It's episode 11. It's week 7, I think we decided. We're back. We're here to talk about. There's a lot. Bear with us today if you're watching. We may not go into quite as much detail on some of the games as we normally would because there is a lot of other stuff to talk about. I have a couple of, I was given a list from my better half because she's still at work.
Your wife.
Yes, I just blushed when you said that. Yes, is working, and we're actually leaving tomorrow. We're going on honeymoon for a week, so you may have the Danielle and Karen show again.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Which I'm sorry that I wasn't here last week, but I heard it was lovely. So
You heard the lies.
I did not. I checked the mentions on the Twitter. So we're gonna get right into it because we have a lot to talk about, and I don't want to waste a lot of time. We're kind of just gonna. There were midweek games, and that is always like a mess because I always forget things happen. So just real quick, two midweek games were draws: Houston and Portland, which I'm just gonna say was I guess maybe a little bit surprising, but okay. So they
called it
draw on Wednesday, and then the Royals and the Pride had a scoreless draw on Wednesday as well. And the only other thing I'll say about that real quick is that the Royals game had 7,000 in attendance for a midweek game, not too shabby. So we'll come back to talk about the Royals again, I'm sure, at some point.
Yeah.
By that I mean we definitely will, because they, never can not be controversial in some way, I guess. But back to that. But we'll go a little bit more into detail for this weekend's games. First up, I think a lot of people were surprised about this, and certainly not without controversy. Which, if either of you want to chime in a little bit about some of that, I welcome you to do so. But the Pride beating Thorns in Portland 2-1 with goals by Alex Morgan and Christine Nairn, which I thought was nice because I feel like Nairn's been almost kind of quiet this season.
Yeah.
So that was nice. Always nice to see Alex Morgan continue kind of. She had a bit of a not lull, but when she was injured and they were on an international break and whatnot. And then Christine Sinclair scoring for Portland. She's on a roll with an assist by Tobin Heath, who, again, nice to see her coming back after a long absence on a strong note. Either of you have anything you want to add about? I know, like I said, there's some I guess controversy with called back goals and whatnot. Anyone have anything they want to add to that?
No, I mean, I was able to catch most of the game. I went to see my grandma halfway, so I make no apologies for missing the rest of the game. But I know I did see the first goal that was called back, and I know some people were like not great about it. I think it was pretty off, but who knows? Reffing's always hard because we don't have VAR in NWSL. Which some people that could be good, some people that bad, but it also makes it the human factor, and it happens so fast. So it's disappointing, especially that goal, the second one that was called back, or with the foul and all that. It sucks, when the call was probably not the right call. But I don't think it's because, NWSL necessarily has the worst refs. I've seen, I'm also an MLS fan. I watch sporting games. I've seen some really bad calls there too with refs, even with VAR. So, it's part of the game. You got split-second decisions. It hurts, especially when it's your team, but, real quick, other than the refs, Starkiller talked about thoughts on Marta's less impressive start to the season. I don't really have a ton of thoughts other than I just Googled her. just because I wanted to see if this point was true. And found out we're only a week apart in age, and my knees hurt a lot. So you know what, Marta, I understand her slow start because I'm in so much pain all the time.
I just want to jump in on that real quick. I was surprised she didn't play this weekend. And I actually don't think she was off to a very slow. I mean, I guess if we're counting her return from the break, I guess yes, it's been very slow. But I think that first game or two that she played of the season, I thought she thought she was very impressive actually. So maybe it's just it sucks as we know getting you do a preseason with a team, then spend time with them for like 2 minutes, and then you have like a game or so, and then you're gone for like a month. That sucks. So I don't know if she's just having a hard time getting back in, but I thought before she left that the start of her season was actually really strong. So I don't know if she's just trying to get back into it. Not really sure why she didn't play. Saturday maybe just resting. They had a midweek game. Not sure. But I actually will slightly disagree, saying they should have a bit of a slow start. Maybe since she's been back, but I think the season as a whole started off pretty strong.
I agree. That's my input. I agree with what you just said. I don't think that she really had that slow of a start, and it was weird that she didn't play in the game. I don't know if Tom did that on purpose or what, but it was very strange. Once they got down to like there was one sub left, I was like, I had a feeling it wasn't going to be Marta, and I was kind of like, all right, Orlando, you do you, I guess, since they were winning at that point. But I don't know. I don't trust Portland not to score goals. So that was a little weird. But yeah, I agree completely.
And I was told they had to say boo Orlando from Jen because I'm not happy with that result. So I guess be a Jen, boo Orlando. We are going to at some point jump out of order here, but we will continue on with the Courage versus the Spirit. Courage winning 1-0 on an Abby Erceg goal, assisted by Hinkle. Probably thought this game should have. Maybe Carolina probably should have scored more than the one goal, looking at the statistics and how they were playing. But okay. I guess the big question is who is going to beat North Carolina, and I also want to know that.
Well, and I think that this is a problem that North Carolina has had the last couple of seasons. Their finishing is not there yet. So, I mean, they're like a bajillion points ahead of everybody else because they have such a good product on the field, but then their finishing is just like poor. Like, frankly, it's very poor. Continue if you consider like how many times they get up there and they get these amazing chances, and I mean through no fault of their own when they were going against Alyssa Nair in that one game because she was like teleporting in front of the ball. Yeah, so that was a little unfair to judge that game. Exactly. But yeah, I think that it's just their finishing. If they start actually finishing their chances, it's going to be a runaway season for them.
And it's kind of funny because you're absolutely right, but it's really funny to say for the team that's unbeatable that they're like, man, they just can't finish, but yet they're winning all the time. And I think that's a good testament to, their defense. They're obviously, you can't. There's that old quote, about, oh wow, I'm going to screw it up. It's been a long day, y'all. It doesn't matter. Basically, I'm paraphrasing Rampone when I say, it doesn't matter how much we score if I keep them from scoring. And I really screwed that up. So, if their defense is strong, then, maybe they're not finishing all those chances. But if they just get that one, that's all they need. I think that's really a good testament to that team. I will say that for me, because this game wasn't memorable except for the off the field stuff. Yes, I'm sure you all. Yeah, I told you.
I even did research. I even talked to people about this, and I was not going to mention it at all.
And it's just so frustrating because I feel like this is the 20,000th time we've talked about supporter group stuff. It's it's soccer, and for people who don't know. An official complaint was made against the Traveling Spirit Squadron because they were ruining the game experience for some of the fans. It's frustrating because that area is such a soccer area. You know, they have some of the best college soccer teams. You know, the men's side there has some great support, and people should be used to traveling supporter groups. You know, it's pretty close to a lot of places, and so for people to kind of get on the squadron for, you know, being traveling and doing their job was frustrating. With that said, I really was impressed with, you know, the Courageous FO, who were just like, they're doing, you know, that's what they're supposed to do. They stood up for the Spirit Squadron, and that's really cool. And, you know, okay, yes, making parents mad, as somebody pointed out, not, you know, as ruining the experience. I'm sure that a lot of us on Twitter saw the dad with the cell phone, which I could piss a lot of people off with what that reminds me of. But it kind of reminds me of a meme that's going around Twitter right now, which we won't get into that. But that's just what it reminded me of. It's
yeah, we like people watch our show. But yeah, I'll go ahead to say, like, I've been to many a game, and this, like, that where there's been away supporters that have been standing with the away supporters, and the amount of times people give them a hard time is like awful. And if, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but, you know, 99.9% of the time when an away supporter group travels, they've been in contact with the front office. The front office has said, yes, please come, bring your drums, awesome, high five. Here's a section for you where we think you're going to be, you know, not kind of out of the way, but still in a good spot to watch and cheer for your team. And I guess these people were like 3 sections over, and I don't really know, but I did want to mention that these incidents are generally isolated to a few individuals. So like per game, yes, which is still unfortunate that it's even happening. But I did want to share that the squadron did have a lot of people come up to them. Also, on the flip side of that, I want to be fair and say that applaud them for coming to make the trip and doing what they were doing and being awesome and chanting and everything like that. So, but yeah, it's awesome that the majority of that is positive. And I know I've experienced that with traveling with, you know, away supporters, that generally the home team fans and everything are like, we're your rival for like this match, but like, we're glad you're here. Awesome, way to go. But it still sucks that it happens as much as it does, that people are like still grumpy about it and like complaining and like don't get it. And it's just, that is frustrating.
It just, you know, the traveling supporter group is something that happens, not, you know, not to keep beating the dead horse, but, you know, in men's soccer, it's so common. And I am almost positive that they have traveling supporters for North Carolina FC most of the time. So I think we could just, you know, maybe it's just because it's the individuals in squadron. No, I'm kidding. Those are my friends. So I was about to name names. That's why I did it. I was going to name names, and then I was like, maybe I shouldn't. Blue Squadron 134 will get broken up by me opening my big mouth on here. I love you guys. I love the squadron.
All right.
I think that they probably were just mad because it's women's soccer, and we're all supposed to be very tame when we're watching a women's sport. So,
all right.
Golf clap.
Yeah. We're going to skip Chicago and Houston for a minute. Houston, you done messed up, and not the players, but we're coming for you, Houston. So we're gonna come back to that, but we'll go to the Reign versus Sky Blue. Sky Blue, I'm starting to feel real bad for them. I'm starting to feel real bad. First of all, I don't know how they've only had 5 games, but that's fine. While some people have had 8. I know the schedule is wonky, but that seems a bit lopsided. But Seattle Reign beating Sky Blue 4-1. It was like Megan Rapinoe's show. Joe got a goal. Catley got an assist. Naho got an assist. Allie Long scored a goal. Like, what? Megan Rapinoe was on fire, which is
Player of the week.
Yeah, Player of the week, Megan Rapinoe, just crushing it. Like, I don't even know. But I'll end that with the Reign and let Karen or Danielle and talk about that. I don't know what's going on with Sky Blue, but if I were Sky Blue, I would build this team around Savannah McCaskill, because I feel like, and granted, Carly Lloyd did get the assist, but even she has been like, all right, Carly Lloyd's here. which is going to get me in trouble. I'm sorry, but
Blocked.
I would build that team around Amanda McCaskill if I were you.
100%.
He's like really the. There's two people, I think, one of two people who have scored any goals for Sky Blue the whole season. I think the other one was Katie Johnson. Katie Johnson played for Sky Blue now? Yes.
You're right.
It is like there are a lot of things happened.
Yeah.
But I don't really know. I haven't been able to watch enough full games to really understand what's happening with them. Like, I'm looking at the stats and I'm kind of like, okay, like I don't like what's going on. I don't really know. I'm just looking at the stats. I'm kind of like, I feel like they shouldn't be constantly losing by a score of 4-1. But I don't know what's going on with them. But I hope they figure their lives out. I guess I don't really know. I'm gonna leave it at that for me. Feel free to jump in. I don't really know what's going on with Sky Blue. I just know that McCaskill is amazing, and they need to like do whatever they need to do to get her more focused and like do the thing.
Score the points! Yay!
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So Seattle Reign FC. It's hard to even say their name without smiling after watching that game. Really, they're having a really good start to the season. I think the record is up to four wins, 1 loss, 1 tie right now, which is really good considering they played 4 games in a row on the road. And most of those were without Megan Rapinoe, who scored 2 of the goals on Saturday, and also without their players from Japan, so that's Utsugi and Naho, also without their players from Australia, which Catley and Williams. So, I mean, and I think Nielsen was also gone for at least a game, 2 games, something like that. But they had a lot of players missing, and they have so much depth that they still did a pretty good job considering only 1 loss to North Carolina. But this game was pretty much what Seattle Reign is capable of. It's beautiful soccer and then scoring a lot of goals. And there was a press conference after with a couple of the players and then Vlatko as well. Vlatko mentioned that he's really, really happy. I know he's my Macedonian dreamboat now. I keep saying that every episode, but I love him. I love him.
I go away, I leave for a week, and then we have Macedonian dreamboat. What happened?
Yeah.
Last week, a lot of stuff happened. Okay.
Yes, so.
Don't watch. Don't watch.
I keep meaning to. Maybe on the plane.
But yeah, he said that he's really happy because every single game they've basically pinpointed what they've done wrong, and the game after that they've fixed it in a way that he's happy with. And then Jess Fishlock was really, really excited because she said this team knows how to score goals. The only problem is that they need to figure out how to stop other teams from scoring goals. And I think she hit the nail on the head. There are a lot of goals that they're letting in that they shouldn't be. And that's not to say anything bad about McCaskill's goal, because that was just pure, like, I'm going to lob this ball in and whoop, like, it was just a really good goal. But they've had other goals that have been scored on them that were kind of just the defense kind of lapsing. And then I think that their second halves have been a little less than stellar. They start really well. They're the only team in the league right now that has no goals scored against them in the first half. So that's good. But then their second half, they really need to continue with that and clean it up. And I think that was kind of on display in this game because McCaskill got her goal, but then they kind of started peppering the Seattle backline and the goal with a few things. Lydia Williams got a good save off, a couple probably, but one really good one. And then there was that Ali Wong goal off of Utsugi from that same spot, the same type of corner kick that they scored off of against Portland when they won. So not that I'm trying to help other teams or anything, but guys, you should defend that play because Utsugi's crazy. So yeah, I guess that's it. Kind of rambled a little bit, but
you're good.
It's your team. You got to ramble a little bit.
Fair. Guys, we've gotten through almost all. I'll let you continue. We've gotten through almost all the games. It's only 6:50, so we're doing all right so far. So go ahead, Danielle.
Oh, my only thing is, I guess Vlatko decided that since he's coaching a new team, he'll actually try starting strong in a season, which is brand new. Really wish we would have done that in Kansas City. We could have made the playoffs a couple more seasons if we just had the stronger start. But so thanks, Vlatko. But glad he's decided that. And yes, McCaskill, create the team around her. She's young. She's the future. She's so good. Sky Blue, please, please do that. And I lost it. I would really. I in the chat, somebody talked about maybe moving Gibby into the midfield. Scroll back a little bit. When Gibby was in the midfield in Kansas City, she did some really good things. So, that might be something to try in Sky Blue. I think that, and I think I mentioned last week that I was surprised by the slow start with Sky Blue. I know they're still getting chemistry, and I think that these are the things that they'll work out when they get more games played. I think the imbalanced schedule is also really difficult as well. But I mean, as frustrating as it is, I don't think they could have done anything different considering, the thing that happened a couple weeks the week after the draft. So sucks, but.
Yeah, and one more thing, if you guys don't mind. You were talking about Vlatko and things that he's doing differently. He also said in that press conference that he is going to be switching back and forth between Williams and Betos a lot because he can't put one or the other ahead of. I can't even finish that sentence because I started it stupidly, but he can't.
You can't put one over the other like consistently.
Yeah, as like the number one goalkeeper. So he's going to be tactically going back and forth between Betos and Williams, which is impressive for Betos because she's not technically like a national, international keeper or a national team keeper. So it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of decisions he makes there and see who starts when. But that was really interesting to hear him say.
That is completely different than he's ever done.
Yeah.
Ask Caitlin Rowland about that.
Exactly. That's why I was like, okay, I could deal with this. That's fine.
Of course, I mean, when you had Nicole Barnhart, it made sense. But yes, it's different. Yeah, I'm not judging. Alrighty.
Yeah, so we'll wind up with Chicago and Houston. This game I thought was really weird. 2-2 draw, goals by Daly, Kerr, Mewis, and Huerta. By the way, Mewis's goal was like, woo. With assists by Prince, Gill, and Simon throughout the game. I don't really understand, again, just looking at what I've seen of the games and the stats, I don't really know. Like, good on Houston for getting out there and getting some goals after what was like a horrible start to the season. But then I look at them stat-wise, and they had like, I don't know, 50% passing accuracy and like 36.9% possession, and I'm like, what are you doing? And I guess that's just confusing because like they're getting good chance. Like, I guess maybe they're taking better advantage of the chances that they have because their play is still, again, stat-wise and the highlights and bits of games that I've seen is still fairly sloppy. On a regular basis. So I'm confused by this. And then Chicago on the other side of that, I feel like I think maybe they're still trying to find, with like her being back full time, like they're still trying to find their way, I guess. Like they're not, I'm not saying they're underperforming, but yeah, I mean 2-2 draw, good for both teams, I guess. I don't know. I still don't really think either team is playing up to their potential. Houston definitely has been much improved. I would say Houston has come up a bit considering they don't necessarily have the deepest bench, but I'm a little surprised, I guess, at Chicago's start to the season, I guess, and I'll leave that at that.
Yeah, I think that Houston has been, I don't want to say they've been lucky, but some of their goals have been pretty, like, luck had probably a little bit to do with it. And then also, I think individual excellence. I mean, the daily goal, it was all daily on that breakaway, and then just being a badass and putting it away the way a striker should. And then the Mewis goal, that was just Mewis getting this small little window and just like shooting a cannon through it into the goal, basically, is what happened. It was amazing. So I think it's just been a lot of like individual excellence that has gotten them their goals, because like you said, Courtney, the passing accuracy, the amount of times that you see them giving the ball away in bad spots, and then when they get chances to move the ball up the field, giving it away again, and not really having connections between their players, between the midfield and the forward. It's just been like not great on all lines. But so I mean, hey, if your team is still getting points even when they're playing like that, I guess go you. But like, there's a lot that they need to fix, I think.
And there's a lot that we're going to unpack about.
Well,
sorry, go ahead, Danielle.
Well, it's like, before we go into that, you know, it was asked earlier if this was, you know, maybe where Houston's season, if they could build on it, is it the turning point? I think it could be. I think it could be. Meaning, you know, maybe the players kind of have found a little bit of faith in themselves. Obviously, there's some coaching issues, not that issue, but I mean on the field coaching issues. Because, you know, these are professional athletes. So I think when your passing accuracy is kind of that poor, it comes back to coaching and all of the, you know, practice, all of that stuff. So there's definitely some issues that, whether it's because they didn't have an assistant coach up until, or other, I don't know. So hopefully, for the players' sake, I kind of hope it is a turning point. I think that it's been a long few months for them, and I really would love it for them and for the fans. We'll see. I think there's just so much off the field distraction that it's going to be hard for it to be a real turning point. Mm-hmm. And then the last thing before we get into all that is glad to see Sam Kerr score again for Chicago. You know, glad to see local got to do their Kerr chug by having a home one. You know, I think that Chicago to me has so much potential, and I'm hoping that, you know, kind of just what I was talking about with Houston, you know, now that Kerr's in there and she's scoring goals, this can be a turning point for them really to ramp it up. Because, you know, I don't have a team in this league right now. I've, you know, joked about that a lot, but I really love the Chicago fans, and they've been through hell the past few seasons. So, you know, I would love for them to turn around and actually have a proper, you know, go at this whole thing. And hopefully Sam Kerr can really spark that. So is it time?
Yeah, I'll just provide a little bit of context. So if you haven't heard, wow, I'm blanking on his name. Eddie Robinson. Sorry, I started the show saying "Welcome to Off the Post" almost. So, you know. So
I don't know her.
So as we found out, kind of weird timing, I guess, like in the middle of a game, that Eddie Robinson was hired as the assistant coach of the Dash, which problematic on so many levels. What was brought to my attention first was not some of the tweets that he likes and subscribes to and seems to agree with, but some of the comments he had made about kind of along the lines of like women athletes being complainers or like not deserving equal pay. A lot of bad tweets were made about when Rachel Daly had that heat incident and passed out, about how, the only people who are complaining about it are people who haven't played it, and all men and women playing it all the time, and like pretty much like suck it up, cupcake. And that's really hard. First of all, he has no experience coaching women, which,
nope,
is not great, I guess. First of all, you always want to try to find people who have experience coaching women, but if you can't find that, don't hire somebody who has very, very expressly had negative thoughts and opinions towards women athletes. Probably not a great look. Especially maybe don't hire a coach who, I don't know, made negative comments, really just disrespectful, not great comments when a player he now coaches had an actually serious, very, very serious medical incident in the middle of the game, at the end of the game, whatever. All of those things are not great. But then we got some of the tweets that he seems to enjoy, as in Parkland shooting was a hoax, and I don't even remember all the other ones just because
straight up racist.
I'll over to somebody else, and then I'll come back. I have probably a couple more things to say, but I don't want to say all the things right now. So we'll go to Danielle to kind of just
go so in case you didn't know, some of them were, Parkland was a hoax, and some alt-right-ish ones. There was one that I saw that was straight up racist, straight up oh my God. A racist grandma would be like, hey, calm down. That's a bit much. Now, I'm trying to be careful because I'm not saying that somebody who has those beliefs shouldn't be hired somewhere, because that is,
there we go.
Not necessarily how things work. With that said, I think Houston needs to take a look at who they want representing their organization. Is it wrong for, does it make him unhireable to say that stuff? No. But do you really want a guy who says that Parkland was a hoax to represent your organization? Probably not. And then, so yeah, he's trash. He's a trash human being. I'm not going to pretend he's not. He's a terrible person who got hired because Houston, I am convinced, created the dash so their MLS players could have cushy jobs when they retire. I mean, look at the president of the organization.
Yep.
Look at now the assistant coach who's never. Now, I'm not saying, you were talking about just because you haven't coached women doesn't mean you can't be a coach. I mean, Blackco never had coached women, but there's a little bit of a respect difference in how they view the world. So, I've kind of got diverged into two topics because I'm so angry. What makes me the angriest is that one, somebody pointed, Alyssa, you just said in the chat, the Dash knew all this. They knew that he said that about Daly. They knew that he's liked and said tweets that have been just straight up racist. And they were okay with it. And then they also used the defense that no one wants to come to Houston to coach. How is that a literal defense? Our organization is so trash that no one wants to come here. And I'm not buying the excuse that, college jobs pay better.
No.
Well, then that's your problem because you are affiliated with an MLS club. There's probably caps involved, coaching caps. I honestly have no idea if there is or not, but I'm sure that you could probably get close to what a college pays. So if your defense is no one wants to come here, maybe you take a good look at yourself because, I'm really getting fired up. I think that this whole thing at the end of the day is so disrespectful to the fans. And, there's been clubs that have had disrespectful things to fans before. I mean, we've all seen it. I went through it. But, those fans usually will still come to games because, they support the club. Things are so bad in Houston that there's so many fans who honestly love their players who refuse to go to games. And that's bullshit, to put it, bluntly. When your fan base just can't go anymore because they don't want to support a trash organization, take a look at yourself, get right. And if all of this is just an excuse to sell the club at the end of the season, then I'm going to make it real big with the cursing. They can go fuck themselves, because this isn't a game. You know, it's a game. It's a sport. This isn't a game. These are people's lives. There are real consequences. So if you're really just trying to fuck it up for the rest of us, go fuck yourself. Seriously, go. Be gone.
Is it my turn yet?
Yes. I need to stop because I have said the F word a lot.
I may come back, but please go first.
Okay. The first thing that I want to say is that I think that a lot of people who are responding to journalists or ex-Houston Dash goalkeeper Haley Carter had some things to say about it, and she's usually the type of person who is always supportive of these players and of the organization, and she holds them accountable. She's held them accountable before, but she's always respectful and she's on point. But this time she kind of was hinting that she's done after this hiring, and there's a reason for that. But people were responding to her with things about, oh, well, what about the First Amendment and our right to free speech? But here's the thing that I think a lot of Americans get wrong. Here's the thing. The problem
101 with Karen
is that, yes, we all have the right to free speech. We all have the right to say whatever we want to say, right? That's the First Amendment. The problem is that people don't understand you do have your right to free speech, but that doesn't negate the possibility that there might be repercussions for what you say. The First Amendment doesn't protect you from facing consequences when you say things that are hateful, bigoted, when you have beliefs that are legitimately dangerous. And the things that you will see if you go onto Eddie Robinson's Twitter account, if you look at the things that he has liked, these are Russian bot accounts that pose as pretty conservative ladies, and these are James Wood's account, who basically crazy stuff, just like he pulls it out of his ass and puts it on his Twitter every day. He makes no sense whatsoever. And this guy, who is now the assistant coach at Houston Dash, is liking his tweets. Things that are blatantly racist about Maxine Waters, the Black woman who is a senator in our country's Senate, about her IQ and how she's stupid, stuff like that he's liked, racist, anti-Islam stuff that is blatantly anti-Islam, like to the point where it's like an unsettling vitriolic degree. This is stuff that's not conservative, because there's conservative, and I have a lot of friends who are conservative. And then there are people who, like you guys have said, think that school shootings are a hoax. There are people who are super anti-Islam and think that Islam is destroying the Western world. There are people who, I don't know, think that President Obama was a bad president. Okay, that's fine. That's your belief system. But if you think that he's a Muslim who doesn't belong in this country and he wasn't born here, you're crazy. And that's dangerous. So there's a difference. And that's something that I wanted to hit on. But then also the fact that Houston Dash knew this, and they're putting their players into this incredibly toxic environment by hiring this guy, because you know that these players know about all of this. These players follow these journalists who have talked about this. These players know who Haley Carter is. I'm sure they all follow Haley Carter.
I'm sure they know her. They're friends with her.
Yeah, they're friends with her. So they know all of this is going on, and they now have to go to training with him. They have to go to meetings with him. He's going to be at their job. This is their job. He's going to be there all the time. And they are going to have to look at him, and they're going to have to hear him tell them what to do, and they're going to know all of these things that he believes, first of all. Second of all, his tweets about Daly are honestly the worst thing. In my opinion. I disagree with all of that other stuff, but for this team in particular, for the players, this is the worst thing, because he didn't mention Daly's name in his tweets, but he basically said, if you are like complaining about this heat, it's just because you aren't from here. He said that at the beginning of that game when somebody said this isn't really like safe for the players and their health or whatever. He said, oh, well, if you are complaining about the heat, then it's probably because you're not from here. Well, Rachel Daly is from England, first of all. And then at the end of the game, somebody basically called him out and said, well, this tweet didn't end well, or this tweet didn't age well, or whatever they said. And he basically came back and like doubled down on what he said and was basically like, well, yeah, but if players were from here, they wouldn't have these problems. And it's like, no, she wasn't complaining. She was not complaining. She literally played 90 plus minutes, and then her body basically shut down and she collapsed from heat stroke because of dehydration. That's not complaining. Her body literally shut down. She wasn't like in front of the cameras going, oh, I can't believe they made us play because it's so hot. Her body shut down. Like people die from things like that. So it riles me up to think that this guy was so egotistical and so chauvinist and disgusting that when somebody called him out on his crap that he said at the beginning of the game, he doubles down and says, no, well, I'm right because look, she passed out. And it's like, no, she almost died. She was in the hospital. She was hospitalized for dehydration. And so now Rachel Daly has to go to practice and see this guy every single day that she goes to work. And she has to do what he tells her to do. That isn't just a toxic environment. That shows that Houston Dash doesn't care about their players' safety, both physically and emotionally, because that's not good for her emotionally to be in that environment, first of all. And second of all, if he thinks that it's okay for them to be playing in 90 plus degrees and that they should just suck it up, even if they like pass out because their body shuts down, then he is a very dangerous person to have making any kind of decisions with that team. So I am worried about the players, honestly, and honestly, the fans deserve better too. I think both the players and the fans deserve better. And Vera Powell was over here talking about how more women coaches should be hired and blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying that the assistant coach should have been a woman, but they should have hired an assistant coach that was not a disgusting chauvinist man who has no respect for women or no respect for women of color or no respect for women that are of a different religion, or I could just go on for like days. So I'm going to like try to like calm down and let you guys talk now.
The only thing I was going to say was just just a comment on Vera. Vera, once upon a time in January when Phil Neville was hired as the England women's national team coach, said something about there's too many men who like can't get coaching jobs for men's teams that are now coaching women's teams, and like very much implying it was a negative thing and that there should be more women coaches. And then, you know, this is her assistant coach now. Fine. And then her rationale excuse was, well, we don't think we didn't try to get a woman to coach the team. No one will come here. College is great. First of all, I'm kind of annoyed with that. Second of all, honestly, that the fact that he's a male coach is honestly probably the least of the issues here. I would argue that the fact, and I would, again, like you kind of mentioned, Karen, like the political kind of based stuff is, you know, like you guys both said, doesn't make him unhireable. Problematic, I could, you know, but the fact that he, if you took both of those things away, if he wasn't tweeting or liking tweets, like alt-right tweets, and he, you know, wasn't, you know, the fact that he's a male is not the only issue. But if those two things like weren't a factor, the fact that he said what he said about women, like equality, like women's equal rights fight for soccer and like fair play and all that stuff with Rachel Daly, to me, that's enough. Like, not forget the other stuff, but if those other things didn't exist, that's enough for me to be like, why? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And so I guess I'm kind of disappointed in her response of like, well, we couldn't find any women coaches and blah, blah, blah. That's, to me, the fact that he's a male coach is the least of the problem here. Like, that's the least of the issues with him being hired as the coach. So I'm a little disappointed in her response, I guess. Also, that might have been one of those, like, where no comment might have been a better, or like the Dash could have said, we're not discussing, like, I don't know, something than her just being out there like, well, we tried to find, like, saying what she said, because I was just like, God, that's a joke, right? That's an actual, like, that's
dumb,
right?
I'm telling you, the Dynamo created the Dash to give their boys jobs. When they got started, it was like, oh, okay, I always forget his name. Okay, that's a weird to put him, but okay, but this is pretty apparent that was the whole thing. So, which is, you don't start a women's club so your boys have something to do when they retire. That's pretty shitty.
Yeah, and Frogger Chica just said something that is very, very true. If the players speak up about anything, he's in a position over their careers, possibly. So that's not good, especially considering the types of beliefs that he has. His belief system is pretty suspect, I would say. So if any of them have, I don't know, speak out about any situation whatsoever, who knows if he's going to watch their Twitter accounts and see if they say anything political, or who knows. That's such a dangerous person to have around these players. He's a danger to them, both physically and emotionally, and to their careers. So good point, Frogger Chica.
And, there's not to say there's beliefs that he hasn't necessarily said out loud, but kind of go along with the beliefs shared by some of the people he likes tweets from that has a impact on players' lives. And yes, I'm being very, very vague with this because I'm not going to, obviously I can't, we don't, whatever, but I'm saying that I wouldn't be surprised if he has a specific belief that could have a real impact on people's lives. And I'll leave it at that.
Yes, I agree with you on that.
All right. Well, if that wasn't enough for you, I was going to come back to them during the game, during the recaps, but then they didn't play Saturday. So as if we didn't have enough issues with Houston, Jen sent me another mini rant to address. I kind of feel bad that we keep bagging on these people, but like it just keeps happening. So a couple weeks ago we talked about and I am changing topics just because we have said a lot about Houston, and I think we've all kind of that. So
my pulse is high, so we have to change.
Yeah, my watch it. Yeah. So another rant, not as charged, but Jen wanted me to mention it. A couple weeks ago about the Royals and their supporter group had that whole like fiasco thing, whatever, with like the Thorns and the Riveters and like whatever. And I mentioned that like we've had some negative interactions with some Royals fans as well. Outside of that, some fan over the weekend just wanted to like, hey, Royals really like your team and your merchandise. I just want to know, hey, when can we buy merchandise online? Really want to give you my monies. Yay, yay. To which the actual official Royals account had a very sassy response about how everyone was already told that they weren't going to have merchandise till year 2, so basically deal with it. But I guess if you have to read the tweet, but it could have been, I guess, let me be the Royals for a minute. Hey person, hey Royals, I want to like spend my money on your stuff. Haha, great. Royals more appropriate response probably. Hey, thanks fan for being interested in merchandise. Unfortunately, we're unable to have online merchandise this year, but keep an eye out because next year, Nike and NWSL store is really working on getting some really good items for you guys. That's all that had to be. Thanks for your interest. Unfortunately, you can't have it now. Moving on. Nope. Nope, had to be sarcastic, sassy. We already told you we're not having merchandise this year. Oh well. Really, between issues with supporters and then stuff like that, we want to support the Royals players, but like y'all are not making it easy, not making it easy. And that was Jen's point of contention for the week of why do you have to be like this? Please just stop.
Yeah, anytime that your response starts with, we already told you, I'm like, you need to dial back the sass. You're at an 11 and I need you to be at a 2 with the sass, guys, especially as an official team account. Yikes.
Also, okay. I'm glad I checked this before I said something. I was going to say like, oh, well, they have a teams, they have merch online for the men's club. Okay. It does link straight to MLS store. So I guess I'll leave it there because I was going to say, well, why can't you put it online? Still, you have MLS money. You could probably make an online store. Blue Crew had an online store. And it was like 3 of us just trying to run it. So I think there we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that was it. That was my other note from Jen, just to be like, why you gotta be like this, Royal folk? Why you gotta do this? But anyway,
good job, Jen.
We're gonna just do a quick. I lost where I was looking at. So a bunch of games coming up this week. Boy, I scrolled way too far down here on this little list of fun. Right. So, right on. Utah Royals versus Houston Dash. Again, the battle of the teams was not stellar records, I guess. That's the game of the week on Lifetime from lovely Sandy, Utah, Rio Tinto Stadium. Little quick note there. Kelly O'Hara apparently still rehabbing, or her hamstring injury still being evaluated. Probably won't play based on what they've said about taking it slow with her. So a little note there. Washington Spirit, Portland Thorns at the Soccerplex. That's at 7 p.m. Oh, good. Bunch of games on at 7 p.m. 2 games on at 7 p.m. So that's 7 p.m. on the Go 90. Sky Blue versus North Carolina Courage. I wonder how that game's going to go from New Jersey. Only the second or third home game for Sky Blue, so like glad their fans actually get to come watch their team play because that's kind of sucky. And then lastly, Seattle Reign versus the Chicago Red Stars in Seattle, 10 p.m. And I just got an email saying that they are hosting Military and First Responder Appreciation Night. So way to go, Seattle! Nice way to get started with the appreciation nights early in the season, and that's a great one to start with. So right on, Seattle, way to go. Anything anyone wants to say about any of those games real quick before we wrap it up? And I know all of our brains are kind of like, wow, that was rant heavy and maybe not thinking properly, but I wanted to at least mention all the games coming up this weekend. So if anyone's got anything they want to say about any of them.
Oh, Karen always does. Look at her.
Karen's ready. What do you got?
I got something to say.
With a little day, I got something to say, song and dance too. Oh,
I do. About the Seattle and Chicago game, I'm sure that you're not surprised whatsoever. Seattle versus Sam Kerr is always fun. And when I say fun, I'm going to say it like this because I'm a Seattle fan and she's terrifying against my team. So that's going to be a really fun game to watch, I think, because Seattle's good at scoring goals, but Sam Kerr is also good at scoring goals. And I know that they're 2 different teams now. Like both of the rosters are crazy different, and it's Chicago and not Sky Blue. But it's gonna be scary for a Seattle fan, I think, honestly. That's it. That's all I had.
Okay. There's some midweek games a week after, but hopefully we'll have a show.
Oh,
so,
Karen and I have already planned on our return next week. So,
well, I'll say this: I don't commit to when we're going to be on next, but I'm you heard it here first.
I volunteered her if she didn't want to do it.
As I said, Jen and I will be away all next week. We're coming home on Tuesday, therefore, really will not be watching any kind of soccer and will not be prepared to do a show Tuesday because we're just flying home. So you're gonna get the whoever go Karen and Danielle and Karen show, and it's gonna be great. And stay.
Don't build us up like that. Don't build us up like that. Okay.
I will make a promise. I promise not to intentionally lie to you guys.
You guys, for the fact, see, and look at yay! See, people are excited about the Karen and Danielle part too. I gotta tell you guys, I'll before we sign off, real quick. So I was, and obviously it's been a busy week. The show happened. I was busy. I look on our little group message, and it was just like, Courtney, we lied to them. We didn't. Just we're gonna find ourselves, and I was like, what? But then I looked at the Twitter and you guys were like, wow, what a great show, you guys. It was so much fun. So, I just want to say, thank you guys for holding the fort down. And people thought it was great. So,
Great.
I looked at it and was like, at that, there were threats to delete this video. And mind you, the text happened, and I didn't see it until hours later. So I was, did they delete the show? What happened? No, is it gone? Did they delete it? Did they really delete it? I don't know. But
we were literally communicating in all caps. Like, what did we do? Everybody hates us. What happened?
But I just want to. I read the Twitter and I read the Twitter and there were some things said, so don't worry about it. I will our week away and know that when we come back, it will be a good time. Kara's missing her hat to fan herself.
I know. I have to use this giant actor frame.
So that being said, I thank you all for watching. Thank you all for the well wishes. I saw there were some welcome backs and congrats for me and Jen. Thank you all. Glad to be back. I didn't miss you guys last week. I know Jen misses being able to chat with you guys too. So, Karen and Danielle show next week, and then hopefully after that I'll be back in a full force with all the folk. And we thank you all for watching, and that'll be it for this week. And I will not, but Karen and Danielle will see you next week. We'll keep an eye out on our Twitter for the specifics. Probably same bad time, same bad channel, but they'll let you know that. So thanks for watching, everyone, and have a good night. We'll do the wave. And Karen's in charge of the button, so
I am.
We're gonna wave until she off.